Hi there, today on It Is a Keeper, I'm showing you how to make pumpkin pie squares. This is a fun twist on traditional pumpkin pie. It's got all the filling that we love, but the crust is slightly different. You think you're gonna love it. Now, before we get started, make sure you click on the red subscribe button below, and if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, please. Okay, so the first thing we need to do to start our pumpkin pie squares is we're going to make the crust, because that's gotta bake first. So it starts with some flour, and then to give it a little body, we're going to add some oats. And I use old-fashioned oats, not the quick oats. A little bit of sweetness with some brown sugar. And this is optional, but I love it. Some chopped pecans. So if you have nut allergies, or if you just don't like nuts, you don't have to put them in, but I just think it adds that little bit of extra crunch, and I love the taste of the toasted pecans. So we have that. I'm just going to break up the brown sugar a little bit. And then we're going to add melted butter. I always use unsalted butter. I like to control the salt that goes into my recipes, so using unsalted butter lets me do that. All right, and then we'll just stir this all together. It's super simple. Make sure you get all that flour that likes to hang out on the bottom. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to take this batter and we're going to take our batter and we're going to add it to there's a little bit of flour, a 9x13 baking dish. And for this, I just like to use my hands, but you're just going to, spread it around. We need to get it in an even layer in the bottom. So then I just kind of use my fingers to push it in place. And if it goes up the sides a little bit, that's perfectly fine. No need to grease this pan. There's enough butter in this recipe that'll let our crust come out nice and easy. Okay, ta-da. All right, so that looks perfect. I'll fix that little bit there. Okay, this looks perfect. We are going to pop this into the oven. We're gonna bake it and let this come together and get nice and turn into almost like a cookie texture. Okay, so now that we have our crust baking, we are going to work on the filling for this, and it's just your typical pumpkin pie filling. So here I have a large can. It's like 30 ounces. So basically you can get the large can or two regular 15-ounce cans, whichever you prefer or have on hand. But we're gonna put that whole thing in here. Or if you're making it fresh from homemade, from a pumpkin, you can just make sure you're using 30 ounces of it. Okay. So now we're going to sweeten it up with some sweetened condensed milk. So I have 2 cans of this. Right, this is like a holiday staple, sweetened condensed milk. I mean, it's just from Thanksgiving right on till Christmas. It's a staple. So it's real sticky and real thick and sweet. Which is why you don't see us adding sugar to this filling. Okay, so next up, we're going to add some eggs to this mixture. So I have 4 eggs. This is going to give it some body and to pull everything together. Three and 4. We are not done yet. We've got to add some seasoning and spices to this. So we have some cinnamon, of course, because pumpkin pie without cinnamon. A little touch of ginger, ground ginger. I wouldn't use fresh ginger in this. Ground ginger is perfect. A little bit of nutmeg, that adds such a nice warmth. And a little bit of salt. Now, you could always substitute the ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg for my pumpkin pie spice. I will link to it in the show notes. It's a great recipe. I would just use like 3.5 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie spice because it's got all that stuff and a little bit of clove mixed in there. So you can use that too. Okay, so I'm actually gonna swap out my spatula for the whisk, and we're gonna get this all combined. All right, this is looking perfect. So I always like to take my spatula and just kind of run it along the edges and bottom whenever I mix something, just to make sure everything's mixed together and I'm not missing something at the bottom. There's no streaks of unmixed ingredients. All right, perfect. Okay, so we have our crust here. It is baked and ready to go. So you notice it has a slight golden color, and it's nice and firm. And then we're just going to transfer all of this filling right on top of it. Get it all out of the bowl. The bowl is so heavy, it's so giant and heavy. Okay. So just make sure it's in a nice even layer. And now we are going to pop this back into the oven. It's got to bake for about 30 to 35 minutes. We need that pumpkin layer to really set up. Okay, so here is our finished pumpkin pie bars, and you'll notice that they're cooled, so cool to the touch, because you don't want to eat these hot. You want that filling to kind of firm up. But you'll notice I have this in a smaller baking pan because I wanted to show you that you can easily have this recipe and make a smaller batch. You don't have to have the giant batch. So if you're cooking for just 1 or 2, you can easily make this in a 9x9 baking dish. So all I did was have it. All right, but let's go in and give this a try. So just going to run my knife right down there. Make sure I'm getting all the way through that crust at the bottom. All right, moment of truth. We know the first one never looks pretty. Don't judge. Ooh. Ta-da! All right, I am going to show you. You can see those pumpkin-y layers in there. So here we have it. I like to serve this with a dollop of Cool Whip or whipped cream, whichever you prefer. So I'm just going to just take some, put a dollop right on top, get it all over your fingers. Make sure you do that. And then take a bite. Oh, the pecans make this crust. I just got a nice big piece of pecan in there. The oats get nice and chewy in there, and then you have the crunch from the pecans and that warm pumpkin filling. You guys, this is amazing. It's so good. It might become your new favorite way to make pumpkin pie. It's definitely a keeper. Thanks for watching. You can get the full printable recipe in the video description below. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. And be sure to check out the rest of my videos where you can find more of my favorite easy recipes and quick tips. I'll see you next time. Bye!